verse 6. He said, and ye shall hear rumors, year of wars and rumors of wars. So we are going to year of wars. For the last decade and almost for the last 100 years, what we are called 50 years, we have seen wars. We have heard wars. Wars being fought from different nations. And there are wars which are still fought today in different nations. Now, even in the nation of Cameroon, you all know there is a war going on. And hear what he said, you shall hear rumors of war. We know that there are rumors of war about Israel and so many nations happening around us. For the last 50 to 100 years, we have seen wars and we have heard rumors of war. He says, see that ye be not troubled, means all the wars we are seeing now, we should not be troubled. He said, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. What end is he talking about? The end of the world. Means he was answering one of the questions the disciple asked him. He asked them, he said to them carefully from verse 6, because he answered them one of the questions they asked, the end of the world. The end of the world means the end of all things. So he said to them, all these things will begin to happen. He said, but the end has not come. He said, because many people will see this war and the rumors of war, they will think the world is coming to an end. He said, no, we should not be troubled as a believer. He said, these things has to come. He said, but the end has not come. So we need to pay attention. He has given us one answer to one of the questions. Now, verse 7, he said something important. He said, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine and pestilence, earthquake in diverse places. Now, if you look at verse 7 complements verse 6, but verse 7 has a deeper explanation about what? Famine, hunger, difficulty, shortage of food in the world. He said pestilences. What we are seeing is what? Pestilences. COVID-19 is all categorized under pestilences. Plague is all categorized under pestilences. What we are seeing in the world as COVID-19 is categorized under pestilences. And earthquakes. He said earthquakes in diverse places. Now, every day they have at least 20 to 25, between 20 to 50 earthquakes every blessed day all over the world. Search on the internet, you will see. But in the last 50 years, in the past 50 years, it was not so. Now, earthquake has increased, that the range of earthquake all over the world range from 20 to 50 earthquakes every day all over the world. So the Lord Jesus wants us to know the time we are living in. Now, in the time of Apostle Paul, in the Apostle Peter, when he was talking to them, they didn't have this so much earthquakes. When he was talking to Israel at that particular time, there was no famine. There was no famine. When he was talking to Israel at that particular time, there was no pestilences. There was no earthquakes. There was no war in Israel. When the Lord Jesus was there was no war in Israel. So what he was telling them, it was something that looks impossible. So let us observe verse 8. Pay attention on verse 8 now. He said, all these things are the beginning of what? Sorrow. I will read from the original Jewish translation what it means, verse 8. Hear what the original Jewish translation says. It says, verse 8, it says, all this is but the beginning of a bad pain. Means, verse 8, Matthew 24, verse 8, simply means the Lord Jesus spoke, from the original Hebrew, the Lord Jesus made this statement that all this is the beginning of what? Bad pain. There are women in our midst, so you know what it means about what? Bad pain. It means this is the beginning of when a woman wants to put to bed. This is the beginning. Means when we are going to see what? So many earthquakes in the world, like what we are seeing today. All the pestilences. Now we have COVID-19. All the famine which is all over the world, the shortage of food. All the false Christ which are appearing now and then, false anointed people. Kingdom rising against kingdom, war that is happening in Cameroon, Russia interfering in another nation, Israel, Syria, and so on. He said, no, all this we are saying, oh, there's a lot of problem. He said, no, this is just the beginning of birth pain. Women, you can understand what the Lord Jesus is saying here. He said, when you want to give birth, now the labor has come. He said, this is just that beginning when you want to give that labor pain. He said, this is what is happening. So, brothers and sisters, in one word, the Lord Jesus is explaining to us, this is just the beginning of a labor pain.